Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program 2, where we are currently heading back to Kerbin from our BOP mission, and actually it looks like we are on an impact trajectory on reload. Okay, that is exciting. We've definitely had a bit of a change to this maneuver. Good thing I checked that. Let's place this around here or so and back off on that a little bit. And we can drop our periapsis and apoapsis here. Well, actually, what if we were to toss in a little bit of radial here and just try to circularize this a bit? So if we were to do something kind of like this and just radial this up to about 70. Like that. That's exactly 70? That's maybe a little less than we want. Something about like this. Even maybe a little bit more. Yeah, that's starting to lose efficiency because of timing. That makes sense. So let's back off a little on the retrograde and put this at like 72. Whoa, that's doing this again. I'm not clicking. Okay. Cool. Well, more retrograde than this. For sure. So that's going to end up being something a little bit more along the lines of this or so. Taking this down to about 72. Cool. That'll do. We'll align for that burn, which we're basically already aligned for. And let's warp on forward. We're bringing these guys home. Excellent. So we're about 3 minutes away from that braking burn. That seems okay. 2 minutes. 1 minute and 30 seconds. 20. 10. And 5, 4... 3, 2, 1, mark. So that'll be a minute and 14-second burn, and we're just angling to have our periapsis at 72-ish kilometers. I would go for the full-on re-entry here, except that we're going over into the dark side, and YouTube videos have a really hard time seeing things when it's very dark like that, so I just want to come down on the day side. I think that'll be a little better. Excellent. So we've got about a minute left on this burn. It's not like we're concerned about our delta V quantity here. We've got 14,000 according to this number down here, which is always a little sus. We'll see if that's real or not. But 50 seconds left on this burn, no problem. We've got a fair amount of delta V, of course. Most of this delta V is enough to bring us almost back up to Joule, although our ultimate trajectory is going to be modified a little bit by Kerbin's gravity here. In fact, quite a bit, with us coming in this closely. So that is absolutely fine. But let's just get this braking burn done. We're going to have a lot of fuel to throw away on this one, I'm afraid. Actually, I'm not afraid. It's definitely going to happen. We're going to throw away, like, tens of thousands of meters per second, but that's understood. That's just the way things work when you're going to BOP. With a design that was intended to land on, like, Laythe or Tylo or something. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of overkill. No doubt about it. So that's all fine. We currently are going to be wrapping up this burn pretty soon. We've got about 10 seconds left on it. Just waiting for that periapsis to drop down to 72 kilometers. Currently holding at about 90. Okay, we're crossing down below orbital velocity very shortly here. Okay, that's 75, 74, 73, and 72. We'll call that good. That seems fine. And at this point, we now are going to just need to warp around and commence a landing burn sometime around, well, where this terminator is. Apparently we can't rotate the camera efficiently again. I don't know why this bug exists, but whatever. We're just going to bring down that periapsis, and we're angling for somewhere around... Honestly, we can bring this down quite intensely. Something kind of like that. So that's 225 meters per second, and that is fine. Let's just get oriented for that, and we're just looking to bring this down quickly so that we can move on to the next mission. So that'll be great. There are not that many missions left in this series, I can tell you that. But the question is there going to be another one in this life forms chain? We'll find out. I've not looked it up. I'm unspoiled on this, and that's a good thing. So we'll get into position here for this burn, and that burn will happen in about 12, closer to 13 minutes. And we're going to throw away a lot of DV here for sure. Okay, let's warp right on around. Excellent. And we're going to commence our braking burn fairly soon. Okay, yeah, we're over the pole right now, so the camera's kind of going nuts, but that's fine. So we're about 20 seconds away, 10 seconds away, and 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Okay, let's bring this straight on down. So we're going to be commencing this burn, or rather, finishing this burn right about now. This looks good. It doesn't really matter how precise this is. We're just angling to bring this down. Looks like we're going to be in a water landing. That seems fine. Let's get rid of all of these side tanks. It's a lot of fuel being thrown away, and I'm not very happy about that, but here we are. Okay. So this is our resulting landing trajectory here. There's still a fair amount of air between us and the ground, but we should probably retract this ladder just to be on the safe side. We'll definitely do that. And beyond that, let's enter the atmosphere. Cool. So we are now in the atmosphere, but we're kind of rocking around. Let's let that settle. There we go. And at this point, we are just needing to bring this down. No problem whatsoever. This will be a nice and quick re-entry. Man, it feels weird to throw away like 12,000 DV. But I mean, here we are. It was a mission to bop with a lander that was designed to land on Tylo. I mean, it was so much overkill. But in science mode, that really doesn't matter. In career mode, I probably would have redesigned it specifically for bop to have a much tighter DV envelope. Because finances matter in career mode. But in science mode, doesn't matter. We can just overkill everything to a ridiculous degree. I kind of prefer career mode, to be honest. Has more constraints to it. But for now, we're just going to gently bring this on down. We're already down to 53 kilometers. We're going to drop pretty quickly here, and that is indeed the goal. The question is, with this more aggressive ascent, or rather descent profile, are we going to have those solar panels burn off? They should. They should be a lot more delicate than they are, to be honest. But so far, they seem fine. We're down well below orbital velocity at this point, and we're 40 kilometers up. We should probably swap over into surface mode here. There we go. We're slowing down very quickly at this point. 1,700 meters per second. 1,500. 1,200 meters per second. Beautiful. I'm going to get the shoots out, the drogue shoots out, at about 200 meters per second here. Okay, we're at about 250 right now. Sure, this is kind of having a hard time holding position here. We can turn the stability assist off, though. It should, by default, just hold position here. And we're at 200 meters per second, so let's, apparently they won't... I was mashing the spacebar. They would not release at 4x warp. Okay. Well, for now, this is fine. We're just going to drop this down to an altitude of maybe like 1,500 meters. I'm not sure how long it's going to take for the mains to open, but I don't want to be too high up. Yeah, let's do it at about 1,500 meters. And the mains will open at about 1 kilometer. Yeah. And then we're going to waft down. This is massive overkill on the chutes, of course. This was designed for landing the entire lander on Laythe. This is massively overkill, and so we're going to take a while to get down to the surface here. Moving at 3 meters per second, and we're 760 meters up. Even at 4x time warp, this is going to take a minute. We can definitely cut some of these chutes, and I'm going to cut this one and also this one, because it is massively overkill. I'm also going to cut this chute and also this chute. So that is half of our mains, bringing us up to 4 meters per second, and that will definitely make that go a little faster. Cool. So that is definitely an improvement. We're going to be completely safe landing at 4 meters per second in water, of course. No problem whatsoever there. And the question then becomes, what is our next goal as far as what mission we're going to do? Are we going to have to design a new craft for our next mission? The answer to that is definitely maybe. Definitely maybe. So I have an idea for a, like, multi-use craft that is going to be for the Laythe mission. But for now, this'll do. Okay, so there we go. We have splashed down here, and we're going to recover this vessel as soon as we can. There we go. And back we go to the KSC, where, of course, we have 7,287 science, but I also want to hop into mission control because we just finished up this mission on Bob. That'll only be 3,000 additional science, but that is absolutely fine. Thanks, science. And now we've got land on Eve and return to Kerbin, and activate a jet engine on Laythe. These are the only 2 remaining missions at this point. Okay, so that's going to be very interesting. We're going to hop over to the research and development for right now. And we're going to grab what we can here. We can only grab one of these. I'm going to go with Mark III fuel systems, I guess. And then we're going to head into the VAB, where we're going to need to design a new craft from scratch. This is going to be a, like, twin-headed craft. We're going to have 2 components to this. This is going to be a jet engine component. We need to activate a jet engine over Laythe. And this is also going to have a communication satellite component. I'm not planning for this to be a manned mission. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in a pair of probe cores. These are probably going to be a pair of small remote guidance units. So this is going to go somewhere around here or so. And then we're going to have 2 of them. So this is going to be like this. They're not going to be, you know, perfectly positioned like that, but that's fine for now. Now, what I want to do is I want to have a big old communications on this. So what is the highest communications distance? 130? Yeah, so it's either this one or this one. Do we want it to be deployable or static? Well, deployable is this is actually just better, isn't it? I guess it's less transmission rate, but I don't actually care about the transmission rate. So we're going to go for the deployable one here, and that is going to be something like this. Then, all we're going to have on this is a very, very small amount of... Do we have xenon? We do. So a small amount of xenon fuel on this would be fine. Something like this. And then we would need to have power generation on this for sure. I'm going to have kind of hybrid power here. So we could go with Colossus's. This is going to be interesting. But something like this for our ComSat. And then we could also put in some RTGs on here. So like 4x symmetry RTGs like this. And that would be essentially our ComSat, except I think I would want those to be, like, down here or so. Kind of like that. Okay, so that would be the ComSat for the moment, but we're definitely going to need to put in a Xenon engine here. So that'll be something like this guy. Okay, so that'll be the ComSat. That now needs a decoupler. So we're going to put in a small decoupler there. That's mildly awkward, but that is fine. Then we're going to need to design this guy, which is going to be a jet engine, right? So we're going to need to have wings. We're going to need to have air intakes. All we need to do is activate a jet engine, in theory. So we can go for like a... Is there a medium size intake? I guess that could work. So something like that, and then we would need to have, not methalox, I would want to have just liquid fuel. It's not considered monoprop, is it? So this is methane only. This is intended, I think, for jet engines. So it would be something like this, and then we would need to have a jet engine on here. Something like this guy. Okay. All we have to do is activate this thing. So that is definitely understood. And then from here, our goal is going to be to have... We could have wings on it for sure. I don't think this is going to be a particularly good flyer, to be clear. We're going to put on some small-ish wings on it. That feels way too big, to be honest. Just a pair of small control surfaces that would end up being something kind of like this. And then we could put a very, very small tail on it. This isn't going to go well. I'm 99% certain about it. But we don't need it to fly well. All we need this to do is to be fancy and turn on the engine. That's all we need from it. So that's fine. Does this have an alternator built into it? I don't think so. Okay. So we would want some sort of power generation for this, likely, or at least a battery. Okay. I think I'm going to put an RTG onto it. But where? That's an interesting question. Where would we want to place RTGs on it? We could have it be on this side of the air intake. Would that even work? I don't know that that would work. Okay. Well, I would definitely like to have a very, very small tail section on it. Is this even a control surface? I don't think it is. So that's even too big. Okay. So an extra small like this is, I guess, fine, but I don't think that this has a control surface. It does not. So we'd really be looking for, another one of these guys. Huh. What if we just did do that? Like this. Okay. I'm going to save what we've got here, and this is very strange looking, right? I'm going to save this as the Laythe flyer. We're going to save this, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this guy. We're going to put this out on the pad. I'm interested to see what happens here. 59,370 meters per second, huh? Well, let's see what we've got. Does this thing fly? I kind of doubt it. Well, let's see how this goes. Uh-huh. It definitely likes to flip over here, but, I mean... Can we pitch up? Kinda, yeah. Emphasis on kinda. We can definitely see there's some awkwardness here. This is off axis. But I would argue this thing flies. And it flies pretty quick, too. Okay, so that clearly needs a little bit of work, but that is a successful test, for sure. So that seems good. The air intake is definitely functional. We've got the RTG on there, so we do have some amount of power. Seems okay. All we have to do is activate the jet engine, right? So that is wonderful. Now, this guy definitely needs to come in over here. Now, we can also, I think, alter the wing shape here. I'm not going to do that. That's a little too much time. I want to reopen the Laythe flyer. And that, of course, means that we need to redo this. There we go. And this seems like this should, in theory, be okay. But what about a decoupler here? Now that is interesting. Because I don't think that there's an attachment point here. Is there? No, there's not. So, how are we going to go about doing our decoupler here? The answer is we're going to have it be on this side, and it's going to be a radial decoupler. We're going to be going with one of these lads, right like this. And then we're going to have some surface struts here. So that is going to be like, we're going to go with a truss here. So something along the lines of, I want an extra small one. Something along the lines of, I don't want that there. I want that attached up over here. Specifically, I want this guy attached to this. About like that. And then I'd like this to be attached in up here, right? So what we're really looking to do is have this guy be right here or so, with this guy attaching in not exactly like that, but rather like this. I don't know that that's actually attached to this to the decoupler though. I think maybe it is. Okay, so I want this to be moved out, and I want this to be in, let's see here, this is going to need to be in different space. World relative, yes. This is the way that we want this to go. So we're going to move that out to about here, and then I want to move this up to be about here. Okay, so something about like that. That seems good. We're going to move this back to part relative. Okay, back into the selection tool. So now what I want to do is I want to put another section of strut here. Okay, that is not the rotation that I want that to be in. We'll do it about like that. And then we're going to put a decoupler here. Or are we going to put a decoupler here? I'm not convinced that we are. Yeah, I'm not convinced about that. So do we have a bicoupler? We do. It's Methalox fueled, but we could remove that. So the idea here is we would remove this and have this just be set up something like this. Now, I don't necessarily love the way that this is rotated, but it's probably okay. This is a Mark II adapter here, which is mildly awkward. I suppose we could have this be methane and oxidizer like this. And then we can have a Mark II adapter here. So, where would that be? A Mark II adapter. There's a small to medium bicoupler here. We could also go with this, actually. And that's probably our better bet, now that I think about it. So we get rid of that. Why didn't this come up in the bicoupler search earlier? I don't know. Regardless, we're going to attach this guy right down over here, like so. And then this, I'm planning on having be nuclear. So we don't need all that much power to get out to Laythe in theory. We're not returning to... And this is a fairly light payload as well. So this is going to be acting as like our second stage. With the idea being that this is going to be a hydrogen tank. We could go with an XL hydrogen tank. We could go with like 2 of them. This is probably wildly overkill, if I had to guess. I'd also like to put a fairing here in theory. I have no idea if this fairing would actually, you know, encompass this well. Maybe, actually. So then this would come up like this, in theory. This is a kind of crazy fairing, no doubt about it. But this would then come in... Whoa. Why did that go away? I don't know. That's strange. Hang on. This is now too small. Okay. Interesting. Well, let's just bring this up to about here or so. We can start bringing it in to about here, get a new level, bring it down, not like that, bring it down even further, about here, and then bring this in and close it off. Kind of like that. It's a wacky fairing. No doubt about that. But then we're going to put in a nuclear engine here, of course. So this is going to be a swerve, just the one. And then down this way, we would do a stack separator or just a stack decoupler like this. And then we would need to lift this thing off, right? So what is the actual root part here? And actually, can we see through that fairing? Okay. Seeing through the fairing is interesting. We're going to need to lift this thing up, probably. So the question is, where is that root part? We could reroute this if we wanted to, but I'm not sure we want to. For now, all I'm going to do is we're going to have a Methylox adapter here. So this is going to be adapting up to an XL like this. And then we're going to simply look to put in something along the lines of this guy, 2 of them, and then maybe the biggest engine that we've got, or maybe even only one of them. I wonder how much this would be for thrust to weight and delta V. So this is going to end up being a Mammoth 2. This is the most powerful engine at vacuum, or rather at 1 atmosphere that we've got. We have no more powerful engine than this. So the question is, what does that look like? This claims 76,462 meters per second. That's probably not strictly speaking accurate. This is 3770 meters per second, but a thrust to weight of only 1.07. Okay, well, I'm going to save this for now. It is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're going to finish off the design of this weird little rocket, but it is very bespoke for this mission. No doubt about that. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Atala, Andy McGar, Ali Lee, Dark Horse, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Tommy Kintogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.